In early 2020, COVID hit and shook the world. And just like every other business, we had shut down. But in that closure, we dove deep at home, at our computers, trying to understand what were the genetics of COVID-19 and infectious diseases in general. And this is where we landed on something that everybody should know in terms of how the body deals with infectious diseases. If you look at COVID, it's not COVID that is putting people into the hospital. It's respiratory inflammation and cardiac inflammation. COVID is a very powerful trigger. It will get you there fast. But this is why we say there's some people for whom it's deadly. It puts them in the ICU. And there's some people for whom it's a flu or maybe no symptoms at all. But for the people that do end up in the hospital, why are they there? It's the lungs and it's the heart. Inflammation in both places, which means both areas were already prone to that. And that can be genetically predetermined. The way you deal with inflammation in these two areas, your propensity for disease in these two areas can already be determined genetically if you were to analyze that. Now, if you fast forward and think about future pandemics and future viruses and things that are going to continue happening as this world changes, understanding infectious disease outside of independent siloed events, but in terms of how you deal with your health, it would be understood that you do not want to be in an inflammatory state. And that means something different for different people. What you eat, how you exercise, what levels of stress, when and how you sleep. These are all things that impact your metabolic inflammation and the things that make you prone to those severe complications that put you in the ICU. Then you look at something like the cytokine storm and wonder, why is this happening to some and not others? And the secret to that is vitamin D. If you understand that vitamin D is responsible for over 10% of the biochemistry in your body, of the 22,000 genes that are actively instructing cells in your body, 2,000 of them require vitamin D in order to function properly. And if your levels are high, it's highly unlikely that a cytokine storm would ever happen. But if they're low, you're putting yourself at risk. This starts at understanding, how do you even metabolize vitamin D? What is the right amount for you, and how often should you be taking it? So there's layers to the story that go beyond the viral infection itself. We know COVID is deadly. We know that there'll be future pandemics. They may be equally, if not more, deadly. How we deal with viral infections in general needs to be understood so that we're not reinventing the wheel every time. Understand how you personally cope with the inflammation in the heart and the lungs that would lead to that emergency trip to the ICU. Understand how you deal with micronutrients like vitamin C and vitamin D that are meant to support the systems that fail during viral infection. If you have this level of personalized understanding how your body actually ticks and works, you're going to be much better off if in the worst case scenario you get hit with a viral infection.